And we are live. Welcome back, everyone, to episode 41 of season 4 of the Mecca Banner podcast. Man, I can't believe we've already made 41 episodes this season. That's bananas. I'm your host this week, Winks. You can find me on Twitter at LCW21. I'm stoked to be here, boys. I know we don't have a ton of games to talk about, but the games that we do get to talk about, I feel like across the board, pretty positive all the way around. A lot of highlights and good things moving and grooving. But let's hear from the boys. Hafey, what's going on, man?
Boys, I am feeling fantastic this week. I can officially say something that no one on this podcast can say, which is that we've won all 3 European trophies. So I will gladly take those applause because you'll never sing that. So we're great. My season, obviously, 2 podcasts ago when I was talking about the preview for the end of the season and this game, was a little nervous. So the fact that I'm here talking to you guys and the attitude that I have now, can't ask for more. So City also getting us 3 points. We'll talk about it, obviously, but pumped to be here. As always, you can find me on Twitter at Hafey4.
Yeah, happy to have you, buddy. Yeah, congratulations. I think that you said you'll never sing that, and I hope I never do sing that because the day that Arsenal are in the Conference League is just going to be a sad day all the way around.
The first one they win, and we get to
Dude.
That's it.
I don't like that. I don't like that I can't make this joke about Hoove anymore.
Yeah,
This is like the
come
worst thing ever.
on.
And I wasn't here last week, so I didn't
London
get
ain't red.
it is. But the most recent, I guess the other European trophy winner besides Mr. Haflinger, Hoove. What's up,
Yeah,
buddy?
man.
How's
Still
your what are you 2 weeks removed now? Week
I'm
and a
still
half?
celebrating. Yeah, still celebrating. Wore my Bud Light Dilly Dilly shirt here today because the celebrations have not stopped in my household. It's been still so much fun. We're creeping into the world. Other teams are starting to make deals. Spurs aren't going to do anything for the next month, maybe 2 months. We don't still really know who the manager is going to be next season.
That's nice.
It's starting to it's wearing off. I think the lads are on holiday. Manager's on holiday. Manager doesn't know if he's going to have a job next season. So it's starting to get not fun. But that's Spurs, baby. They'll bring you the highest of the highs and the lows of the lows. So happy to be here. Looking forward to talking about a little bit of City as well. Europa League champions still can't take it away from me. Never going to go away. Bang, bang. Young Yin on Twitter, by the way.
Everybody already knows that one.
Yeah, sure. that one's the most obnoxious. So
yeah, well, I think that's a good segue. Something we haven't seen in a while out of the City boys. 3 points. New manager bounce, or I guess a new caretaker bounce, as Mr. David Critchley leads St. Louis City to a 2-1 victory over the San Jose Earthquakes. I was actually at a wedding rehearsal during that game, so I didn't get to watch any of it. But saw we got a red card in the 6th extra minute at the end of the game. Heard Löwen and Klauss, both scoring in the same game is giving me first season vibes. Hoove, Nick, what was your guys' take on?
Yeah.
Obviously, Hoove was there, but I think that you said it pretty spot on. It gave me a lot of first season vibes. And I think our caretaker even said before the game that he was going to bring back kind of the first year style of football. And I definitely think we saw it. I also think, unfortunately, their goalie had a howler of a game.
Oh, dude.
I definitely thought we played well, but by no means were our goals great goals. We were definitely gifted both of them, I think. But yeah, Hoove, I also was pumped to see the stadium the way it was. Obviously it's been a rough season, but to see the atmosphere that was there to be the way it was, I was super pumped to see it from the television.
Yeah, it was packed and a lot of fun. I love doubling down on how much I love a 1:30 afternoon kickoff. That is not something as an American I ever really got to witness on this side of the pond. So much fun. Nothing better than getting up straight to the boozer, straight to the pub, pints down with the lads, and then strolling into the stadium and getting after it, and then having your day after. Amazing, love that. A lot of families, though, I will say, couldn't have my standard banter in the stadium in the seats, but no, it was super fun to see the stadium up and at it again. And I was really talking to my fellow season ticket guys around me in the section, and like 15 minutes in, we were like, "This is so much better." Like it was just noticeably more up tempo, more more in your face. You can see the runs and everything that was trying to push the ball through the field. Result aside, by no means this was not a fantastic performance, but it's easy to see the guys that were excited to get on the score sheet, the guys who were excited to get 3 points. There was a little bit more fight, I think, in general across the 90 minutes. There was still a little bit of that tail off. Like we've seen the issues with Olaf. 70th minute, Klauss will come out, Betcher will come in, will concede a ball at the front post, on a corner kick or something. So we saw that again, frankly. We saw that drop off. The guys kind of looked dejected after that goal. And truthfully, it was a moment of brilliance from Simon Betcher to get on the end of a long ball, beat his man one-on-one, get in, stuck to the keeper, cut in. He got cleaned out. It was clear as day. No VAR review, no checking the monitor. It was a breath of fresh air to see a penalty given quickly and then stand. So that was nice. Woke football died, in my opinion, in St. Louis on Saturday, which is amazing in my opinion. But the two guys that you wanted to see on the score sheet, no question, it's a good shout, Nikki. Like Löwen and Klauss, both of them in their own, different ways, completely deserved it. Löwen and everything that he's been going through and what he means to the team, it's so obvious that, the guys are talking about him in the presser after the game. You give him space when he needs it, but he's a great footballer and wants to be playing football. And there was nobody else on that field that I would have picked to take that penalty. Like I was nervous that Simon was going to try and take it. No, it was never a question. Simon didn't even really look like he was trying for it. So, so happy for those guys, and it seriously felt the stadium. It was just a relief, like a little bit of the monkey off the back. You got to see the ball hit the net twice. Egregious goalkeeping. Their keeper had an absolute shocker. This does not come off his line for the Klauss goal. You can see in the replays.
Triple pumps it. He's like
triple pumps it, and you can see his defender in all the replays of the goal. His other center back's like arms out, like come get it, dude, and he doesn't even make a move off of his line. Comes too late. Klauss had a really tidy finish. I will say he got to a little outside the foot, just snizzed it bottom corner. And then low and clinical, that was never going to be a save on that, even if the keeper dives the right way, in my opinion. So just relief, dude. I think from everybody. Like I was buzzing after that game. It's so crazy. You forget what 3 points can do to a man, in his life after watching just miserable football, which you'd think I'd become accustomed to at this point in my life, but I'm not. I don't want to become accustomed to it. I'm sick of it. I hate it. Palpable relief from everyone. The final whistle blew. The team just stormed over to Critch and just absolutely mobbed him. He was gassed. The social media media team caught him up the camera, and he's like 3 points. Like, dude, it was so good to see. Feels like there's a little bit of life back into the team. It was a rotated San Jose squad, but not a bad San Jose squad either. At the end of the day, they're doing pretty decent and have had a great stretch of runs in the last 5. So that's a big statement when, we saw Hack come in, win his first game, and then lose the next 5. So no one's sitting here and being like, this is it. We've done it. Olaf's out. We're back. It's going to be a grind for the rest of the season. But, and I'd mentioned this a ton beforehand, we got rid of Olaf at the right time, in my opinion. And really, we could go into an entire little, expose on Lutz and the Diego president and the thought process in hiring Olaf. And there's a lot of questions that have not been answered and won't be answered this year, in my opinion. So nothing is set in stone, but just to see the fans back up and at it, the players be excited, get to do their own little curtain call to the supporters section. It just felt good. And yeah, definitely some season 1 vibes, but man, I was buzzing. That was great. I had over 2.5 and St. Louis money line bet. I was sweating that BK, dude.
I was just about to say I am by no means a gambling person, and I told everyone and their mother to throw the house on City this weekend because I knew the new manager bounce was going to be a thing. I also Sunday like you said, Hoover, a Sunday 1:30 game. I knew the atmosphere couldn't be bad. You know what I mean? What is everyone else doing on us? I mean, Champions League, I was a little nervous. I was like similar times, but like still, I thought the atmosphere was great.
I would have loved to see them just put the Champions League game up on like one of the big screens. So cool. That would have been great. I wanted to watch that one too. I just had the tickets and it felt great. It felt good to just go to the stadium and be excited about a match again. So, really hoping for that to continue. I loved the Zielinski and Jay Reid starts. I'm not sold on them yet. I think I like Jay Reid. We've liked Jay Reid as a podcast. I think he's an athlete and the most natural out and out back 4 left back that we have on this lineup completely. And I thought he played pretty well given the circumstances. We saw Durkin at center back. Mm-hmm. We did not see Kyle Hebert or Josh Yarrow. Statement moves.
I was going to say, I thought that was real interesting.
Statement moves from Critch, right? Critchley?
Yeah.
Yep.
I liked the youth look. I think Zielinski's deserved a look, especially in Olaf's system. I thought he would have slotted in pretty well on the right side of a back 5, but we never really got to see that until he played the U.S. Open Cup game. Scored a banger. So it was great for him to get his shot. Tottenham's back. That's just a game changer completely. Wallam's red card was also an egregious decision. Just to ticky-tack, not time-wasting kickaways, in my opinion. And he was so quick to give them both. It was delusional. So we don't have him next week, which will suck.
Classic MLS ref trying to make.
Yeah, he was looking for an opportunity to get himself in the match. But no, everyone was happy. The team looked like they were up for it. They were pumping up the fans. Löwen back is just a game changer. Plays 90. Yeah, man, good vibes at the moment. Which is hopefully we can take that and win a couple games on the bounce here.
Yeah, I think you guys said it well. This changeover from the way we have been playing to going back to an entertaining style of football to watch and back to what we were used to seeing when the team first came to St. Louis isn't an overnight thing. I think it's going to take several games, but Hoove, like you said, doing it at this point in the season gives us an opportunity to do that. And as we get when we see our big name players producing like that, whether or not they were should have gone in or not, I think it's a positive to see. But flipping over to what's up?
I was gonna say we're just gonna be our next game's against the Timbers, so I feel like this is gonna be a good game to see if it was just a new manager bounce or if maybe the philosophy might be a little bit better than what it was.
Ooh, Sunday 6 p.m. I like that too.
Yeah, it's tough to not have high expectations, but
I think Seti pulled his hamstring too, so he's out.
Yeah.
I will say too, last piece on this. We played this, 4-2-3-1 with out and out left wing Pompeu, where he should be. That should never change. It's just so lopsided with Teutsch on the right, and he's not a winger. And I think everyone knows he's not a winger, but you kind of have to have him on the pitch. So then that pinches your midfield decisions between Löwen and Durkin and, Wallum here in the deep line slot or, Hartle up top. So you obviously have to keep him on the field. It's just the first 30 minutes that he played, you could tell it was lopsided. It was off. He finds himself in good spaces and can make something happen, but he's not a winger. So Zonde, I thought, had a pretty good, 60 minutes or so when he came in. I think he's still trying to get his feet under him and start to get up to speed with what's expected of him. But there were a couple of times that I thought he was dazzling. He's just natural dribbler, loves to take guys on, does take guys on, and does it pretty successfully. So looking for the finished product out of him, and I think that's what I'm imagining the top four will look like against Portland, and I'm hoping for the best on that.
Well said. Swimming over across the pond though, in a night of European football that'll just be etched in history. Chelsea come back from a deficit to win arguably the greatest trophy in Europe.
Not the game I thought we were going to go into there, but
Oh, no, but no, I figured we'd end on the bigger game despite having a host, a part of the team that did win one of the trophies. Chelsea go down 1-0 in the 9th minute.
Was definitely nervous. I'm going to be completely
Nick's
honest
booty hole's never been more puckered after that 9th minute goal.
Yeah, I was definitely about to break remotes type vibes. Was not happy, and I already said it. I was like Hoover, and I was in a room by myself watching the game. So.
Well, give me what was going through your mind that whole game? What stood out for you while you were sitting in the dark in your boxers?
I think it was honestly the night when they scored. I was a little nervous, just because I think the start of the final was it was a classic final start. You didn't really have a team that was dominating possession. It was kind of just counterattack after counterattack / break and play. And then once they scored, I think it kind of flipped a switch for us. And I think we really dominated the rest of the game. I think Cole Palmer just showed that his talent does not need to be in the Conference League. He was far ahead of, I think, anyone on the pitch. I think every time he had the ball, he was creating a chance. And we pretty much smothered them, in my opinion. I also think Sancho came on and provided a big impact as well, which is crazy to say.
He found his level.
Yeah, I'll still take him over some of the wingers at United or Arsenal, to be completely honest with you. But I mean, you have Raheem Sterling on your roster, brother.
All right, yeah, I'll give you that.
I think he's played in 2 Premier League games this season, so I
wouldn't
even say he's on our team.
Still an Arsenal player. But I was super happy once the first one went in. I kind of knew what was coming. I was nervous that they were just going to hold on for dear life, and then as we kind of built into the game, they would think it would be an opportunity for them. I also was obviously scared of Anthony on the counter. I think Mark Cucurella played incredible. I think he's a baller. I think
Anthony sucked too.
I wanted him to score. Whether or not they won or lost, I wanted him to score so bad.
I have a feeling you were not the only one with that sentiment,
and some of the goals he scored in the last 2 months, the guy looked like a shell compared to what we'd seen in Spain, for a while. I don't know, and Mark Cucurella played well, but I think Anthony was just bad, and I don't, multiple times I thought he was going to be able to cut in and do that signature left foot shot that he scored so many goals this year with, and he had a couple opportunities and they just scuffed it, hit the ground.
Yeah. By no means did I don't think Cucurella played out of his mind, but it wasn't even more of him guarding Anthony. It was more offensively, which is crazy to say once again, but he's been a big impact on us moving forward. I also think Reece James, the moment he stepped on the pitch, kind of impacted us because it took us a little bit to get going, but we were definitely dominating most of the ball. And I'm pumped that we won it, just because I think if we didn't, it would have not been good for us. And I think the fact that we were in the competition and won what was in front of us is something to be proud of. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I saw the conversation on Twitter, and I think it would be, we can weigh in on this for sure. But and they kind of mentioned it too, even in the broadcast. But it just goes to show the level of English clubs, internationally and within Europe. Chelsea were a good squad this year, and obviously you finished top five, even top half of the Premier League. You're pitting yourself against the rest of the leagues in their kind of top half, and you're going to take top most from England. The quality, I wouldn't say Chelsea's had the quality all year. Obviously they finished well. No slight against them, but Midwicki and Sancho, we're not talking about absolute worldly ballers. They made Betis look bad though, so it's the quality in England is just so much better. The level of play is so much higher. I truthfully thought Betis had a chance to do it. But then, on the back of Cole Palmer, obviously he played really, really well, man of the match. They had no answers. They had zero answers the last half hour, 40 minutes. So it was just evident to me that they ran out of gas in the tank. They couldn't get anything going the other way. And yeah, you definitely smothered them last 30. But just goes to show, man, that England is just so much tougher of a league and competition. I mean, Manchester United and Tottenham in the Europa League final, for God's sake. They finished 17th and 16th. So,
That was a crazy plan that I had for Dobes, though. Jeez.
No. It's wild that happened for two English teams, but it just again doubles down. The quality is just better. Aston Villa was 3 inches away from beating this PSG super team. Like we're forgetting how good everyone else was. Arsenal beat Real Madrid with multiple worldies in the Champions League, quarterfinal or whatever, and it was just that again reiterated to me that no one was going to lay a glove in that competition, in my opinion, to Chelsea. I thought Betis had a chance. No, I was quickly wiped.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it was your guys' hype that I think was letting get to me. I was like, damn, do they really got a shot? I mean, Anthony is playing well, and I mean,
yeah,
they have an Isco. You see Isco in a starting.
Isco was great. He was their best player.
Yeah, but I think you're spot on. I think it showed because I mean, Badius Shield started for us, and I didn't think he looked awful, and he's normally not a starter for us right now. I also think, to end it honestly, this competition for us this year was huge, just for the fact that we got to play some of our youngsters and see some of our other lineups. I honestly think last year one of the big problems that we have was only having the Premier League, and that's why I think Pochettino it really didn't help him at all, because if we weren't getting results, then it was a big deal. Whereas this year we had a Conference League, we had another game in our schedule that we could throw out against pretty much an academy team and then see what could come and possibly for us in the future. So I think this was huge for us. Obviously it was probably a must win, and I'm happy the fact that we did, but I think for us in the future, the fact that we had another competition to play some of these guys, I'm super happy, because I think we finally kind of have a starting 11, and now we can just build. Last year, I couldn't tell you our starting 11 every week. It was literally every week. And now,
and having a squad of 60 guys, no banter. It's good to see some other talent. You're not gonna play Dewsbury Hall every week in the Premier League. You're not gonna play Lavia when he is functioning. You know what I mean? It's genuinely, I would assume, extremely difficult from Maresca's point of view to see how these guys can fit into a system and who can contribute and who can't. And then you build, and you've got a squad, you've got your starting 11, you've got your subs kind of figured. So I think you're spot on, frankly, and shocked that I'm agreeing. But definitely played in you guys' favor. Do I think you do well in the Champions League next year?
I don't think by no means do I think we're doing anything crazy, but I think the fact that we were in the conference league sets us up better than what we would be if we weren't. Because I think some of these guys who got to play in it at least get to see some of how different countries play. Yes, it's probably countries that we won't be playing in the Champions League, but like still, like Betis is still Spanish. You know what I mean? Like they're
Polish League 2 teams are just unpredictable.
They are, man. Every time you got to go Eastern Bloc, it gets tough.
Watch out. Watch your back.
And final point for me, and I think it is almost exactly, it's just as much true to you as it is to Spurs. Half that, no, not even half. A majority of that team's not lifted a trophy, any trophy, and in general. Like, that's where you start to build a culture and build an identity in the dressing room. Like, you want to do that over and over and over again.
What winning's like, regardless of what it is, like you want it again, and like and especially with the group of people that you won it with. So like
we had Romero, the World Cup winner, and that's it. Like Sonny's never won a trophy, Mickey's never won a trophy. Pedro Porro. I don't know if you're going to count the Portuguese league as that counts for something, but like a lot of those guys just didn't have it. So yeah, no, that's it's. Frankly, it would have been embarrassing if you lost, but it's big that you won. It can be both sides.
Agreed.
All right. Well, fellas, I think we need to dive into the other final that happened since we were gone. In my opinion, the most dominating performance I've ever seen in a Champions League final. PSG didn't just win their first Champions League. They absolutely murdered the most on their heels, like afraid Inter Milan side I think I've seen in watching all of their Champions League games this year. 5-0 in Munich. The year after Mbappé leaves PSG. Centennial treble 2 in France, League 1, Coupe de France, and now the Champions League. Like, what a season. I have a couple things I want to touch on with this game. Tactical masterclass. Luis Enrique, I think, just got it right. Standout players.
Butch Senior.
Huh? Butch Senior.
Butch Senior, yes.
Butch Senior.
Standout players. And then, what this means for the Ballon d'Or race. But I want to start with the tactical masterclass because I said it in the intro, but Inter Milan just looked so overwhelmed on their heels. I feel like there was like, despite the possession percentages, I don't think Inter Milan was ever in the game at any point.
No. You throw 2 on them in the first 20, like it's you don't want to say game over in a final like that because Inter we saw that what they could do against Barcelona and the fight that they had to just keep coming back, but like it was unrelenting.
They look like a different team than the one that beat Barcelona.
As bad as you're saying Inter was, I also think PSG was that good.
I think that
out of their mind, and I think Barcelona going up against what we saw at PSG is getting. I don't know if it's that bad, but like I think PSG is walking away with the W if they're playing anyone the way they played that night because they were firing on all cylinders and everything was scoring, and like I agree with you. Like Luis Enrique had a masterclass, but like I truly don't think anyone's touching PSG after.
I saw it was like a tactical on Twitter, and it was the formation for each of the goals that PSG, like the positioning of the players for each of the goals, and the absurd fluidity that they had in and amongst themselves. Like you hear the term total football. Frankly, I learned a lot about total football from Ted Lasso because they decided in their last season that they wanted to play total football. But it really was kind of total football. It was so fluid. These guys were picking up spots on the field that they felt they could take and knew that they had guys behind them to be able to cover the spaces that they were leaving.
Hakimi. half the game. Yeah.
Yeah, Hakimi's
a perfect example of that.
Was more or less playing striker for probably 35-40% of the game because he knew he had Nuno Mendes or Vitinha or whoever just completely underneath him protecting that side of the field at all times. And it was just every goal was different. Doure and Dembele switched constantly. Doure scored a goal on the right, picked up the ball on the left all the time. It was just you're completely right. I think tactical absolute masterclass from Enrique, and it's obviously a lot of those guys are superstars now, but with the weight of Mbappé not being there, you could see, dude, there was so much freedom. Like they trusted each other. They were ready to, fill in and go to war for whoever was near behind them or in front of them, make runs, unselfish runs. Vitinha was disgusting.
Didn't put a foot wrong that entire.
A clip of him in the 90th minute, him running down a run and all the way to the right back position and taking the ball and playing back to the keeper. And I was like, this man just wants it so bad.
Dude, their third goal. I've seen the video of their third goal multiple times. It was all Vitinha, but two, the movement from everybody else is what created him being able to have the space. It was 1-2, pass back, get back in the middle, pick the ball up again, turn a shoulder, beat a guy, and then slide out to Dembele, who's basically holding hands with Doure on the left, and then Dembele back heel, Vitinha straight through the middle, and then he's got runners on the right, no problem, slot it in, cash. It was just
he's so good.
It was so good, dude. They're individually, all of those players, I think, are underrated. I'm not sure, other than Dembele, who is. I don't think they are anymore either. Dembele is he not in the lead now for odds on the Ballon d'Or?
Let me look that up right now.
Probably should be.
I mean,
33 goals though, 2 assists in the Champions League final. He's minus 275.
Gotta be.
Lamine Yamal is second at plus 350. Okay.
I don't want
and then Mo Salah and Rafinha at 1,000.
Did you guys see the comment Yamal made? So Spain's playing France, I think on Wednesday or Thursday.
On Thursday, yeah.
And Yamal in an interview said it's decided on Thursday. He
wow.
Ballon d'Or is decided on Thursday.
There's no way Dembele plays, bro. This man's on a bender. Get out of here. No.
I bet Yamal knew that. That's why he fucking said it too.
That's sick. No, they were, dude, just levels above.
We have to touch on, how many times have you guys seen it? Because I've seen it probably 10 times of Luis Enrique yelling at Mbappé for defensive coverage.
I love that video.
I've seen that clip maybe 10 times today.
I love that video. And honestly, he got through to me. How did he not get through to his player right in front of him who's, it was just, and now for Mbappe to have Xabi Alonso as his manager, who's going to expect the exact same thing that Luis Enrique does.
I also think it's funny. I love how we're kind of transitioning into talking about Mbappe right now, but I think Xabi Alonso is the best coach for Mbappe because I think it had to be a big name, old superstar that has so much respect in the game, because he has to listen to him. There's no Ancelotti talking to him. I feel like he can just sum it up to a coach and he can just be like, "Oh, I'm better." But the fact that it's I'm imagining Zidane, a big name.
Yeah.
I think it's perfect for Mbappe. I still don't think he's that good, but
he's gonna see the bench if he doesn't do what Xabi Alonso wants, though. He's already come out and talked about how important everyone on the team is, and making shouts for all of the guys to kind of stay and contribute. And Mbappe won't see the field if he doesn't do what he says. There's just no way he doesn't. A guy who's legend of the game, no question, but still young, and relatable in his managerial career, and how old you look at some of these managers are. he'll understand a lot more of what Mbappé is going through than Ancelotti would, just because, Ancelotti, it's an age thing to a certain degree. Like, he's going to give him the respect that he deserves, but he also is going to give him instructions that if he doesn't follow, I think will be, an issue for him to continue to keep playing, because Real Madrid are going to win games. There's no question about that. It doesn't matter who the manager is. But if you want to be a part of the squad that's going to do great, you got to listen to the legend.
I wish my club was like that.
Yeah, well,
we're
almost there.
You just win no matter who the manager is, and just keep cycling through the manager. The
Yeah.
talent's always.
Well, I think that's the difference that who've talked about it during when we talked about the Conference League, but I think that's just the difference between the French and Spanish League and the Premier League. Like, you can't do that in the Premier League. It's
Real Madrid. Like,
yes, but even still, the competition is just so much tougher that it's impossible to win the Premier League nowadays, especially without, such a concrete game plan.
Yeah.
On top of, all the other tournaments and games all these players are playing. It's impossible.
Did we see Ancelotti's comments about Endrick?
I don't think so.
He's not playing for Brazil.
So Ancelotti is now the Brazil head coach. I saw the picture of him. Dude, the picture of him and Richie is so funny to me, because Richie played for him at Everton, which is just still a wild world scenario. But they asked him in the media while he was there first week, they're like, "Why didn't you call up Endrick?" And he said, "He's barely playing for his club. Why would he come play for Brazil?" Like, that demon, brother.
I thought he said, like, the club coach isn't playing him, so, like, why would he play?
Yeah, that guy. It was him. He's the reason. That was hilarious to me. So funny. Yeah, Richie gets to call up instead, baby. Don't forget, World Cup, bicycle kick. Richarlison, he did it, and Europa League winner. How about that, huh? With Spurs. Crazy. Things you thought you'd never say in your life.
Yeah, well, you guys talked about it last week, so we don't have to this week. So, well, congrats again to the City Boys for a big 3 points that we needed. Congrats to the Blues for a big Conference League and history-making trophy in their own right. And then, last but not least, if Arsenal was going to lose in the Champions League to one team, I'm very glad that it was this just dominant PSG team that looked like they could run over anybody. Yep.
Yeah. No, you can wear that. They were different. They were different.
Very. But we'll be back next year, actually. So will Chelsea, and the Spurs.
And I'm on the line.
Hopefully we'll have 3 cracks at this team next year.
It's really four of the 5 clubs that our hosts on this podcast are in the Champions League next year.
God,
that's funny.
And I'm arguably most excited about the one that's not.
Yeah,
or
same.
the fact that United is the one team that's not. But no. Anyways, good episode 41 in the books. Make sure to follow along on all our socials, Instagram, TikTok, anywhere you choose to consume your podcasts. Also super active on Twitter. I know Hoove is especially. So if you guys have any ideas for segments on future pods next week, we're going to try and do a combined host Premier League starting 11 for the season with debates, but we'll come out with a final team next week and post a graphic about that. So be on the lookout. But
yeah, we're coming up on the dog days. So seriously, we will take suggestions. If you have anything that you want to hear us chat about, let us know. So quick shout, South Supporter Stand podcast. Those guys gave us some good stuff last week. Definitely. Let us know. Let it fly. We answer DMs. We answer tweets. Just hit it up.
We're good about it.
All right.
We're good for it. But all right. Well done, boys. Till next week.
Boys.
Cheers.
Yeah, lads.